Do the brakes on your John Deere tractor not function properly? Maybe when you push your brake pedals in, your tractor doesn't slow down as quickly as it should, or maybe when you push your brake pedal in, it doesn't spring back. These would be signs that you need to do a brake job on your John Deere tractor. Now, I'm working today on a John Deere 520, but these techniques will also apply to a H, A, B, G, a 50, 60, or 70, a 520, 620, or 720, or a 530, 630, or 730. Of course, the parts are different because they're different size tractors, but the techniques remain the same. Now, the first thing that you need to do is remove the end of the nut that is here on the end of your drum. This is 1.5 inches, and you'll remove it like so. I have this nut loosened almost to the end, but I still have it on there so that it holds the drum on. And then back here, there's 3 bolts that I have removed. You can see them up here on the floorboard. Now, when we remove this whole brake assembly, there is a dowel right here that you need to pay attention to when you pull it out. And then you can just pull it out like so. Let me try it with a little bit of pry bar on there to get some inches on it. There we go. Go a little bit more if I can. And then hopefully I can wiggle it out the rest of the way here. It's coming. Here we go. There's a little bit of gear lube on there, that's okay. And out it comes. There we go. I'm backing off the brake adjustment here so that we can remove the drum from this brake assembly. You'll notice back here that I have the nut on here. I'm going to take that off and remove both of these washers so that there's more room so that the drum can be loosened up. So I have the washers removed, and then we're putting the nut back on so that it will protect the threads. I'm going to get it on there really good, maybe almost flush would be a good guide there. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to pound it down on the board here so that the brake drum will be loosened. That looks like it was enough. So now I'm going to set it back down and remove this nut off the end here. Looks good. Now the shaft should come out like so. And then we'll try to flip it over and see if that drum will come off. Now these drums do come off hard, so I did take mine into the vise. I'm just using a nice brass hammer here to pull that drum off the rest of the way, just like that. I'm spraying this whole portion here with some brake cleaner so that that will reduce the amount of dust. It's also a good idea to wear a cover over your face just to protect your lungs, as that can be bad for your lungs. Then we're going to remove this assembly with the shoes on off. So I'm just going to take a screwdriver here and carefully pry beyond that, and the whole, there we go, the whole thing will come off just like that. Whoa. Okay, so you want this whole assembly off. On this tractor, one of the pedals was seized, like it'd be stuck down. That's not a result of the springs. That's what a lot of people think, that it's a result of the springs in the shoes. Instead, it's a result of this shaft right here. You can see that mine is very, very rusted. There is a spot here where you can put grease in it, and obviously the previous owners did not grease this tractor, and as a result, that rusted up and seized the pedal, where the pedal would stay stuck down. So I had to heat it up in order to remove that, and I'll just pull it out here for you so you can see that shaft. There we go. Okay, there's the shaft, and the pedal came out with it. So you would want to, if your pedals are seized as well, you'd need to do this step. We're going to clean that up really good, get all that rust off of there, and then reassemble. Just being sure to get all the rust out of this hole here. Looks good. And then I also cleaned off that shaft as well. You can see the difference on the shaft, how it looks different from before. I have a new O-ring that I'm going to slide down here. And then I'm going to put some anti-seize on it. We'll grease it after we get the tractor all assembled. So for now, we're just going to put some anti-seize on here, and a little bit in the hole around there too, on the end. And then we're ready to put this in. See how easily that slides? yours should slide that easily too. Such a difference from before. I'm prying out this seal here. Does take a lot of work to get it out, but it doesn't matter if you damage the seal because we're replacing it anyways. And the rest of my seal, there we go. So all of the seal is out, and now we're ready to put the new seal in. This is important to do in this step. Don't overlook it. It's just a little seal, but it is very important. So then you can put your new seal in, like so. And the book suggests that you go 1/16 of an inch past flush. We're close. I'll go a little bit more. That looks about good. In order to remove the old rivets, one method that you can do is use a 3/16 drill bit on your cordless drill and take the end off of the rivets, and then you can just punch it through. And the rivet should come out. Try it again. There it goes. Okay, so the rivet's out. If sometimes when you put your drill bit on there, the rivet is loose and you're just winding it all around and being unproductive, you can use a grinding wheel or another grinding tool to just take the top off like so. We're ready to put the new pads onto the brake shoes. Whenever you handle the brake pads, make sure that your hands are clean, not greasy at all. Now the pads are directional, how they fit onto the shoe, so you'll be able to line up the holes. It's not difficult to figure out. And when you put your rivets in, you can see that they are slightly recessed into the shoe. That's how they should be. So I'm going to set my new rivet in here and then flip it onto the tool. You can see that the bottom part of the tool supports the rivet completely. And then with safety glasses on, I'm going to lower this down and make sure that it's right in the middle. This is a riveting tool that you can purchase from Steiner that I'm using here to put the rivets on. And then I'll pound it down. Okay, and I'm going to pull that out. And you can see that the part of the rivet there is pinned over to hold that on. Very good. You'll do that on all of these holes. It's important to make sure that your adjustment screw does function properly. Lots of times this will get seized. You can see that mine will turn freely and easily. Also, both of these pins come out easily. You can see that the point is on the pins. If your point has broken off, you would want to replace those and then put them in there. This may be very stuck on your tractor and very seized. You might have to heat that up in order to pull that apart and clean it up and replace anything that needs to be replaced within your assembly. But the end goal is for all of that to move freely in the whole assembly. Then down here on the bottom, you also want to have this in the proper direction. Notice that it goes down. That's important so that when you put your brake shoe on, you'll see that the rollers match up there. And then also up here, the notch matches like so. Oops. Okay, that's how they're gonna fit on there. Now I have the springs in here, and the way that I like to do it is to attach this all as one assembly and then put it on here. Some people like to put their two shoes on the side and then use a spring tool to stretch the springs over. You can do that if you want to. It's just personal preference, or if you try one way and it doesn't work, you can try the other method. So I'm going to put these springs on here like that, and there we go. There's both of my, nope, now that other one moved. Might have to do this on the bench. Okay, no, now my other one's out. Okay, there we go. Both of my springs are on there. Now I'm going to stretch this over here. Might try to get the bottom first. Be very, very careful. You can definitely pinch your fingers doing this, and you want to stretch the whole assembly over here with the shoes and all. My shoes are on. It was a hard job, lots of adjustment, lots of patience and careful adjusting to get the shoes completely on. Once we had them snapped on, I did move this adjustment screw to get both of these fully on. And then when you put the cover, the drum cover on there, it slides on easily, or at least it should. This is steel and it's not worn down like it would be on like a truck or a car. Obviously the tractor doesn't go as fast as a truck or a car would too. If yours are excessively worn, then you'd want to take it to a shop and have it turned, or if you have the capabilities to do that in your own shop. But mine doesn't, it's okay, and we're just ready to put it back on. So this will slide over here like that. Perfect, okay. And then I'm going to go back to this other side and get my shaft. This will slide through the back here. Come forward, twist it a little bit to get it up in there. Well, there we go, okay. And then we have the washer and the lock washer. Oops, I gotta push it through a little bit more. And for the nut to go on. And use a brass hammer to, there we go. Okay, now we're in. I still have my washer and my lock washer on. And then I'll put my nut on and we'll be all set. I'm just putting a thin layer of gasket sealer on here, and we'll put the other side on the tractor. We'll put the gasket sealer on the tractor for the other side. And then drop in the new gasket on here. It's directional, so get it going the right way. Now before we put it on the tractor, it's always good to just make sure that your pedal is returning properly. Notice that mine springs back. It works perfectly. You want yours to work perfectly as well. And if it doesn't, go back into the unit and figure out why that isn't working properly. So with that, we're ready to put it onto the tractor. I have the entire brake assembly into the tractor here. I got the 3 bolts tightened up and the dowel connected properly. Now I'm going to tighten up this bolt on, or this nut on the end here completely. There we go. Okay. Notice I did not have that all the way tightened when it was over on the vise earlier. Now the next thing that we want to do is do a brake adjustment. The book suggests to have 3 inches between the part where it's not engaged at all to the part where you push it down. Let's measure what I have right now. So we'll measure from here to there, we're about 4 inches. So we're going to try to tighten that up. When you do so here, I'm going to move this down and it goes in notches because it's got gear on the end there. Long ways to go, hopefully to 3 inches. Let's measure again. From there to there. Ooh, look at that, it's perfect, 3 inches. Let's do that again. Good, okay. So that's the proper adjustment for the brake. That's easy to do from the outside of the tractor. So we have the brake adjusted, the assembly's on. The next thing we're gonna do is grease it. Don't forget about the zerk that's on the bottom of your tractor, which services the shaft that's in the brake assembly that you saw. Lots of times it's forgotten about, so you don't want to forget about it and have complications like what we saw earlier. Just put 1 pump of grease because you don't want grease to get onto the shoes. So just 1 pump will do it. Then once you have it greased, your brake job is complete.